Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Lucas and I want to thank you for clicking on my video today. In case you don't know who I am, as I just mentioned, my name is Lucas. I am a part-time reseller and this is the channel where I document my reselling journey as I grow. And I just finished my first year and this is part 3 of the 2019 recap. If you want to watch part 1 where I discuss my numbers, how much I made, how much I sold, you can click the top link in the description, and then the second link in the description is part 2 where I talked about my 10 favorite items that I sourced in 2019. I highly recommend you watch those videos, and if you enjoy them and you enjoy this video, make sure you click subscribe so you know and can follow along with me throughout 2020 as I continue this reselling journey. Now in this list, I assume is a pretty popular one that's been waiting around. This is my top 10 highest selling items from 2019, so some bolos for you guys to keep an eye out for. And I'm not going to waste any more time, and we're just going to jump right into it. At number 10 came from the $1,500 deal. It is the Xenosaga trilogy. Xenosaga 1, Xenosaga 2, and Xenosaga 3. I sold them all together as a lot for $130. It's hard to pinpoint exactly how much I paid for them, considering that there was a bunch of items from that $1,500 buy, but at $130 it was my 10th highest selling item in 2019. At number 9, it also came from the $1,500 buy. It was the complete in-box Nintendo 64 that sold for $132. Again, hard to pinpoint how much it actually sold for, but it sold for $132. I ended up going back to his house. If you missed that whole story, you can click one of the links in the description. It'll take you to the $1,500 buy video. I went back to his house to see if there was anything that I left, which this was one of the items, and inside of it were actually booklets for some rare Sega Saturn games that ended up selling probably for another $100 to $200 on their own. So maybe this little item ended up being more than $132, but just individually looking at it, it sold for $132. At number 8 were the Star Wars Chewbacca Plates. I sold all these to one girl who was actually going to use them for a party she's going to have for the 40th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back, and I sold her all these plates for a total of $140, and that's just insane to think about, that I sold $140 worth of paper plates. Crazy. It's insane, but yeah, just a really cool sale there. $140 is my number 8 highest profit item in 2019. Item number 7 also came from the $1,500 deal. It is the Legend of Zelda limited edition 3DS console. It sold for $149.94. It's got the little Triforce on it. It looks really cool. I was actually at the point, I had this listed for a while and I kept getting $100 offers on it, and I told my dad, I said, the next $100 offer I get, I'm just going to take. We're just going to be done with it. I'm going to take it. Clearly it's not selling at $150, and like 2 days later it sold for full asking price of $149.94. Number 6 is the Slingbox SB500. This lets you watch TV on the go, and it sold for $150. I paid $15 for this at a yard sale, and what's really funny is there were a couple other resellers that were not necessarily following me, but we kept going to the same houses together. And when he went to one house on one side of the street, I decided to go to the other side of the street, and that's where I found it. I barely lost out on a tub full of video games at $1 a piece. There were like 30 or 40 of them in there. That would have been nice, but this ended up being a little bit nicer. The guy actually used it. He wanted it shipped by a certain date so he could watch college football games on it, I think, or some sporting event. I don't remember. And I got it there on time, and then the weekend passed and he immediately wanted to return it. So I think he bought it, used it for what he needed to use it for, and wanted to give it back. And then I said, does it not work? Can you send me pictures? He never responded, and then he ended up giving me positive feedback and just holding on to it. So dodged a bullet there with a return. But the Slingbox SB500, complete with all cords, remote, and all that stuff, sold for $150. At number 5 is the Apple Message Pad. Again, this is something that I found at a thrift store as I was checking out. I happened to see the rainbow apple out of the corner of my eye, and I think somebody was going to buy it and put it back. Decided not to because it wouldn't power on. I bought a battery for it. I had to guess a passcode of 1234 to unlock it, in which it did, and it ended up selling for $160.50. I listed it auction style, and after averaging out how much I spent at the thrift store, I only paid $5.28 for it. And number 4 was one of the first things that I purchased this year, and it is the Sega Genesis Nomad. I paid $65 for it at an auction, and it ended up selling for $182.50. Just a really good sale overall. One of my favorite things that I bought this year, just some old, rare video game collectible, console, whatever way you want to look at it. Just really happy with it. It was super clean. It worked. I played it a little bit. It sucks down batteries like no other. But yeah, $182.50 for a Sega Genesis Nomad. My 4th highest selling item this year. Before we enter my top 3 items of the year, I want to go through some honorable mentions that aren't necessarily single items, but were maybe a lot or something like that. First off was the Onkyo A7 amplifier. The reason why I want to mention this, it sold for $89.89, but I got it for free. It was the highest percentage, I guess you could say, I got off of an item because I paid nothing for it, and it sold for almost $100. There's a whole video about that down below in the description as well. Fear Inoculum, the Tool album that came out this year, I paid, I think, $38 a piece for those things, and I ended up selling them for $99.94 a piece. So I had 5 of them. That comes out to $199.30 that I spent, and ended up adding up to a sale of $499.70. So really good there, but it wasn't one singular item. That was more of like a group of things. Again, one of the first things I bought this year with the Sega Genesis Nomad was a Summer Winter Vacation House. It's just a big doll set. It sold for $103.61. Of course, we have to talk about the Star Wars buy. I ended up clearing $1,000. I paid $670. I just crossed $1,700 in sales on that, so I crossed $1,000 in that way. And of course, the $1,500 deal on all that stuff, I ended up making over $2,000. I paid $1,500, and I'm at, like, hold on here, let me click this here. I'm at $3,200 in sales on that, so almost to that $2,000 mark. But a really good buy there, nonetheless. Speaking of the Star Wars buy, I had one guy buy a bunch of stuff off of me, so if you wanted to call that a lot that he purchased just by himself, he spent initially when I first started listing that stuff, he spent $490 on stuff, and then recently I found a couple things that I never got listed, and he ended up buying them, which brought his total up to $530 from one guy. So if you wanted to look at that maybe as like one thing, $530 there. And then one of my other favorite buys, almost cracked into my top 10 favorite buys list, was all the Proactive that I bought. I paid $10 for, I forgot how many bottles of Proactive, but after selling them all, it added up to $241.50 in sales. And it's funny because I thought I wasn't going to be able to sell them because they were all expired, but it turns out it doesn't matter if they're expired. So a really fun buy there, all the Proactive. It was a really good time. Every time I saw it sale, I just laughed. I couldn't believe it. But those were some honorable mentions. Now let's start looking at the top 3. At number 3, it came from the $1,500 buy, and it was Lunar and Lunar II that I sold together for $200. I talked about this. I'm a big PlayStation fan. I collect PlayStation games. It was really hard for me to let go of these, especially after how much I made on this the $1,500 buy. I was just going to keep them, and then shortly after that, they ended up selling. But I'm really happy that they did, because at $200, that was all pure profit at that point, and ended up being the highest selling item from the $1,500 deal. At number 2, I went out yard sailing. There were only like 3 or 4 yard sales going on, and when I stopped at, I was looking around and I heard the mom ask the daughter, "Have you pulled out the Harry Potter stuff?" So yeah, my number 2 is the Hermione Granger bag. This is a replica bag that came from, I can't think of the name of it, I'll pop it on screen here. They've always got their slips inside like the DVDs to order stuff. They do stuff with Lord of the Rings, and I think they did some Star Wars stuff and Hobbit stuff, and this was an exact replica bag, and I know cosplayers really want to be as accurate as possible. I paid $15 for this bag, and then it sold less than 2 hours later for full asking price of $269.99. One of my best finds of the year, as that's what the list is. I'm redundant here. $269.99 for the Hermione Granger bag. Again, the story behind that is I was at the yard sale. The mom asked the daughter, "Have you pulled out the Harry Potter stuff?" And then that's when I kind of stuck around, and the daughter went inside, and I asked the mom, I said, "So I heard you mention something about Harry Potter stuff," and she's like, "Oh yeah, she's got wands and like a costume and stuff like that." And she brought it out, and the wands weren't anything good, but when she put down the bag, and the bag was inside of another bag, I was like, that's probably really nice. And it ended up being really nice. She wanted 20 for it. I talked her down to 15, and I ended up making over $250 on that bag. So a really, really good sale there. And then coming in at number 1, if you've been following the channel, it's the easy guess. It's the highest selling item I've ever sold in my history of eBay, and it is the Beatles Pop Funko figures. I still can't believe that I stumbled across these. I had been out yard selling all morning. It was about 12:30 at this point, and I can't believe they were sitting there. And when I got up there, I figured she knew and she would ask like $20 a piece for them. And I looked them up and saw they were going for about $40 to $50 a piece. And when she said 20 bucks for the whole set, I said absolutely. I paid her that. I ended up buying some video games from her as well. I kind of paid up for the video games just to make the sale and get out of there before anybody else caught on. But yes, I sold the Beatles Pop Funko figures that I paid $20 for $400. My highest sale ever, my biggest profit ever. Just absurd. I can't believe it to this day that I happened to stumble across those figures. They were super cool. I think they sold in 2 days. I turned down a few $300 offers, which was really bizarre, especially when I only paid $20, but I was holding out, and I'm really, really glad that I did. So a $400 sale. The Beatles Pop Funko figures were the highest selling item in 2019. So yeah, that does it for my 2019 recap. With this video, when this ends, 2019 is over, except for some stuff that I gotta list, and probably some stuff in some future What Sold videos. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I had a really good 2019, made some good money, I learned a ton, and I'm ready to take that information that I learned and the experiences that I had and turn them into an even better 2020. Again, if you missed part 1 and 2, those links are in the description down below. I would really appreciate it if you gave them a watch. And if you liked this video, give me a thumbs up, and let me know in the comments what your highest selling item was this year, because they're always fun, those bolos to keep an eye out for. So let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you click subscribe so that way you know when I release new videos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and I hope you all have a good, real red hot 2020. Let's get those numbers up. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Woo! 3 videos. 3 videos in one day. Recorded. Done.